Hey, Steve, can you hear me
Oh,
now?
I got your volume back now.
Okay.
Now I got an echo.
We're live.
Yeah, we're live.
Oh, well, that's live TV, live radio, man.
Live TV. We're gonna have to
Stuff
deal with an
happens.
echo, I guess. So all three of us are on.
We're
Yep.
here.
Mhm.
Before we begin, I'd like to read a few prepared thoughts, organize and establish some guidelines. We don't need that part. Like I started, I was into like you, Steve, with Jefferson and Madison, the Federalist Papers and stuff. Um, whoop, am I getting a call? All right. But I realized that they didn't invent the ideas they wrote about out of thin air. They inherited them, refined them, and developed them. They were building upon ideas that had been evolving through long history of Western civilization. And when I started out, I was thinking, who invented natural rights? But I've changed that to something a little bit more interesting, which is what is the historical evidence for the development of the idea that individuals possess rights independent of those who govern them, which is a little different, I think, than just trying to figure out where they got our natural rights from. It's notice the word evidence. Our search begins where the evidence begins. We're not trying to reconstruct this prehistoric situations. We're tracing the historical evidence of an idea, and that means following the evidence wherever it leads, beginning with the earliest written records. I'm not asking anyone to prove a theory. I'm asking each of us to become investigators. Um, the way I thought of it was I started thinking about the cornerstone, and which brought me to a building like a cathedral. No single architect built the entire structure. One generation laid the foundation, one laid the cornerstone, another raised the walls, another added the roof, stained glass, and so on. I think ideas develop in the same way. I think the idea of rights, individual rights, develop much the same way. Conclusion. I want to find what other guys also thought of Occam, and then what Occam wrote himself. I'm interested in getting whether the evidence supports Tierney's interpretation. I'd like our group to approach every thinker that way. We can use historians, use AI, use Google, use libraries, whatever tools help you begin your search. But whenever possible, let's follow those trails back to the original sources. Um, our goal isn't to win arguments. Our goal isn't to prove ourselves right. Our goal is simply to follow the evidence honestly wherever it leads. We each can begin with our own knowledge or interest. You may have been interested in ancient Greece or Hebrew scriptures or Roman law um, or like with me, just open a book and start somewhere, whatever page you open till it interests you. Wherever we begin, we just want to follow the evidence. We're not going to discover a missing cornerstone by next week. At least I hope we don't. If the idea developed over centuries, it's probably going to take us some time to trace its path. So what I want to do is each time we get together, simply find one possible link in the chain. One thinker, one document, one event, one idea that you believe may have contributed to the development of the idea that individuals possess rights independent of those who govern them. Then when we come back together, we'll compare what we found, challenge each other's thinking, see where the evidence leads. I think we're going to learn something if we do that. So I would say let the hunt begin, and I'd like to get you guys' thoughts on the process or on what I said. I'll open it
Rich,
up.
I'd like to clarify one thing in there. you're saying independent of government. I think it's independent of politics, but I don't know how we do it independent of government. For instance, if if I go back and I say, here's a caveman, he's Og, and there's a cave, and the people who are in Og's tribe are allowed in the cave. That's government. It's not politics, but it's government.
Right.
So I think, if we try to keep government out of it, we're going to have a problem because government, I think, rights, and it depends on which way we go with it, but rights are there to control the government. And you can't separate that, I don't think. The politics, I don't want to get into left, right, up, down, but I think you have to include government.
I think you're right. I probably misspoke. I should have said politics. And when I don't even want to. I mean, we're not even. I don't want to start even where there's politics involved. And I mean, I want to get started back. I mean, I'm sure there was politics in Og's cave, but and I don't really want to start back that far as Og, but wherever we start, we're not going to know the politics of the day. But there will be government involved. You're right. There'll be a king, or there'll be some kind of ruler.
Well, Rich, let me offer this and see what you think, if this is government or what it is. What I found, one of the first things I found was the ancient Sumerians. And it goes back to the first written language of cuneiform. When you take Humanities 1 in college or something.
Right.
And says the ancient Sumerians gave humanity its first recorded written word for liberty. Amagi or Amagi, however you pronounce it, meaning literally return to mother, which signified the cancellation of debts, release from bondage, and restoration to the family. Rather than an abstract natural right, they viewed freedom as practical, periodic release from oppressive debt and royal burdens. And that's the first recorded word, according to AI, of liberty. And it had to do with debt and slavery to debt, that sort of thing.
Well, I'd like to find where. Let me write that down, because that way I can look at it over the week and see where that fits. But that sounds like going back to the beginning. Whether that'll be our cornerstone. I guess during the week, Jim and I, and if Mark ever comes back in, we can look at that and form our own opinions and see if we agree or disagree, and then move on from there, possibly. I kind of think of it as like a jigsaw puzzle. Like I found that thing about Occam. That could possibly be a part of the jigsaw puzzle that brings us back to what is it? The Sumerians.
Let me read it again. It says AMA, which means mother, dash GI or Amagi, meaning literally return to mother. AMA GI. But it dealt primarily with, like I said, slavery to debt. You're a slave to your debt. And this meant they viewed freedom as a practical, periodic release from oppressive debt and royal burdens.
Bankruptcy court.
Essentially, yeah. But I think the Jews, not to get into governments, but the Jews have something similar, where like every 7 years they're released from debts and stuff, the ancient Jews. I'm back temporarily, I guess, and we're streaming and until Facebook bumps me.
We're streaming on YouTube as well, I believe.
Yeah. But that was the earliest reference to, quote, liberty that I was able to find, the ancient Sumerians. Hammurabi's Code. If you think back to college and Humanities 1, the Epic of Gilgamesh and Hammurabi's Code and the ancient Sumerians and cuneiform.
I didn't do college.
I hated Humanities 1.
I did Vietnam instead.
Yeah. Well, I did my
What do you
college
think
over a
about that,
20-year
Jim?
military career.
Jim, what do you think about that?
I, I'm gonna have to go back out and look at it because I'm not familiar at all with the Samaritans and what
Yeah.
they might have done. When I started looking at this, in my mind, Steve, I'm very process oriented, and so I have to start to work things back along the timeline. So I started with the U.S. and said, okay, where did the thoughts over there come from? They came from English common law, which goes back to things like the Magna Carta, which said, it basically was a revolution in his government. I'm sure they felt there were politics, but I don't have a side on the politics. But they basically, what that said was when there were no rights, the king could say whatever he wanted to say. He could say he could take property, give property. He could anything the king said was automatically law. And the Magna Carta, I think we just lost Steve again.
Yep, Steve went out again.
The Magna Carta is the first place that they started to put controls on the king, so the king couldn't take your rights away, and that's where John Locke first comes in, and he is the one that Jefferson and Madison looked at his philosophy of natural law
Right.
to say that people had rights. It wasn't up to the king to give you your rights. People had rights, and that became a rights are there not for the king to control people, but for the people to control the king. It's basically becomes your rights are the should be the guardrails that tell government what they can do.
Right.
That's how far back I got, and I don't know if that's as far back as you want to get, Rick.
No, I want to go. That's almost a starting spot.
All right, that's what I was doing, starting.
Yep. I want to. I want to get back to. Back further. Maybe here's Steve again. Let me put him on stage.
I'm going to stop the streaming over here and just pay attention to what's going on here with you, Rich, since you think you're streaming on YouTube. So
Yeah.
apparently Facebook hates me today.
All right. Yeah, we were just talking about. Jim was just talking about. He got back as far as the Magna Carta, and now what did Locke have to do with the Magna Carta? Where was he? How did he come in there?
Locke had the philosophy of natural law, natural order, and that was basically that the king did not give you your rights. You had natural rights that controlled what the king did. So it was government not controlling the people, but people controlling the government. So that's like you said, Rich. I think that's a starting point.
Yeah, I think we can go back further, and because that's the thread that I want to do. I want to get. There's been a lot of historians that have had, like that guy Tierney, and there's a couple other. I don't Richard, that did uh, certain parts of the string, and I want to kind of see if we can put them together. I think it'd be interesting to put them together and see where each of them got their information, and go back as far as we can, and not to, like I said, not to prove any, or not even to think about the founding fathers yet. Just to discover who was talking about, like Locke, like natural rights, like before him. Though there's all kinds of. I mean, I forget the years.
Yeah, I'm sure he didn't invent it.
No, he certainly didn't invent it. No.
What I got, Rich, was oh boy, what was it? Of course, I got the Stoics, and you and I talked the other day about the
Right.
Stoics. But what I found through AI is the part about Hammurabi's code and the ancient Sumerians and the first word for liberty. But even before the ancient Greeks, Plato and Socrates and those
Right.
guys, It said what my AI said was the Bible and the Torah and the book of Deuteronomy specifically, and where they broke down government, not politics, but government, and and individual rights, and they talked about slavery and if you have a slave and it, but then that's where it said the ancient Greeks. Plato said, the the Torah existed long before the ancient Greeks and the Stoics was the point.
Yeah, ancient Hebrews was the way I heard about it. It's so that's closer to adding the earlier puzzle piece to it.
And
But yeah, the ancient Hebrews. I'm thinking that that's someplace that we will find information too.
Yeah.
Like I said, whatever interests. I don't know where you will go, Jim. Back, like from here, like from your Steve again. Boy, you're like a bad penny. You come and go.
I tell you what, I'm gonna have to get off here and let you guys do your thing. But Rich, I just texted you my AI what it said about it evolved up through the Magna Carta in 1215 and matured during the 17th and 18th century European Enlightenment. Thinkers like John Locke defined it around inherent natural rights and social contracts.
Right.
So that's what my research showed. It starts with the ancient Sumerians, goes through the biblical period of the Torah.
Well, you see now this is what I'm talking about. The AI and all of that books and everything are all welcome, but I think when I get the information from AI, I want to go back and look at it.
Oh, I agree.
Not just take AI's word
Right.
or a historian's word, but actually, I mean, we're taking their word, but we're going back and seeing if it connects to other guys. I just think it'll be an interesting journey, and who knows. You know?
Yeah, this AI made a leap from, the ancient Sumerians up to biblical times and
Right.
the ancient Israelites, which I guess if you believe in the timing of the Bible and stuff is about 4,000 or 5,000 years. And then it goes from there to the ancient Greeks, from the ancient Greeks to the Magna Carta.
Okay. Yeah,
Well,
I had
excuse me, the
Plato
Stoics were
was.
in there. The Stoics were before the Magna Carta.
Yeah, I'm not sure of the timeline without looking at it, but I know Plato was in there too because
Yeah.
Aristotle got some of his information from. He was a student of Plato, but all right. Well, I guess we got a few bugs to work out. Well, I guess we got something started. We can take our interests and look at where we want to go with it, and each do our own thing and compare. Um,
Friday the 14th.
Friday the 14th. Okay, let's do that.
Send out a notice for us.
All right, I will.
Okay. Thank you, sir. Been a pleasure.
Yep. Yep. Thank you and say hello to Winnie.
Will do. Bye bye.
All right, bye.